Right speech emphasizes the importance of using speech that is truthful, beneficial, and free of harm. Skillful right speech also involves communicating in such a way that understanding and harmony is maintained between parties. It is a way of speaking that is mindful, not automatic, not reactive. The Buddha outlined 4 main flaws of speech that students must avoid in order to maintain right speech. They are lying, harsh speech, divisive speech, and frivolous speech. Lying results in many severe consequences. It is known to carry disfiguring karma that leads one to physical derangement and ugliness. As is the essence of truth, beauty, so is the essence of lying and deceit, unattractiveness, and disfigurement. Lying is so detrimental that it has the power to corrupt entire social structures by making its way into the various cultures and becoming normalized by most people. It's interesting to note that people with compulsive lying disorders tend to experience amnesia or loss of memory of the truth. So with enough practice in systematic lying, they tend to convince themselves of their own lies. This sometimes leads to personality disorders, in which the liar has forgotten who they are because of all the lies they've been telling about themselves. Lying about oneself deepens the separation and disintegration between the egoic self and one's true nature, or atta. The equal and opposite aspect of lying is the virtue of truthfulness. This is a skill that tends to either demand more self-restraint or more assertiveness, depending on whether you're an outspoken and revealing person or a very cautious and conservative speaker. The Buddha taught that the truth should always be spoken when it is beneficial and relevant to others, even if it is unpleasant for others to receive. This is important to realize because there are many truths that can be very painful to hear about, but necessary to receive. Now, with that being said, just because something is true doesn't mean that we should reveal it. This is because sometimes the truth is not relevant or helpful or applicable to certain people in certain situations. So one example is talking about oneself. I've met people who just don't stop talking about themselves and mentioning all the different things they're good at, and it's just all so irrelevant and unnecessary. It only shows people how self-absorbed and conceited they are. In other cases, it's better to just hold on to the truth for a later time, because revealing it too soon may unnecessarily spoil somebody's vacation or what have you. For example, if a doctor discovers that your 90-year-old grandfather has cancer that could potentially develop to stage 4, it may be better just to keep this a secret from him because he probably doesn't have much time in this life anyway, so why provoke a lot of unnecessary stress and fear for him during his last years of life? Or if you've been contacting all the people you know and informing everyone to prepare for an approaching apocalypse that's expected to happen within 2 or 3 years, and one of your friends is just about to leave for a 1-week honeymoon vacation with their spouse, you can afford to let them enjoy themselves for a while before you burst their bubble. Now let's talk about speaking tone and expression. Inappropriate or excessive swearing, unnecessary shouting or loud speech, giving orders without privilege, insults, angry or aggressive reactions to other people, all belong to the fallacy of harsh speech. It's interesting to note, however, that Buddhas and angels do swear on occasion. And they do this to simply emphasize the severity of a situation. Swearing is prevalent in our languages as modern people, so we seem to relate to it when we hear our intuition occasionally use these 4-letter words in meditation. Regarding harsh speech that is inflamed with anger, this is something we want to avoid in everyday conversations. However, the same tone of passion that sounds like anger must be used in order to express severity. As students of spirituality, It's almost never beneficial to actually get angry over something. So when there is a situation that requires severe or passionate speech, we simply raise our voice or shout or speak with a very serious tone in order to properly give the message. A motivational speech should be full of zeal and enthusiasm in order to invigorate and inspire the audience. A child running across a busy street needs to be shouted at so he or she can hear you and consider walking back to the sidewalk. Frivolous speech is known as sampapalapa. It's a funny sounding word, as its pronunciation resembles the blah 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 or yada yada slang words we use to describe useless speech. It mainly refers to rambling on and wasting time on irrelevant and unimportant chit-chat. But other things like gossip, slander, criticism, and prejudice, which is making judgments about people based on little to no information, also fall under frivolous speech. These are types of speaking that are judgmental and carry the potential to ruin a person's image or reputation. We must be very frugal with our time. It is very easy to waste hours out of the day on foolishness. Idle chit-chatting on the phone, texting, messaging on social media. These are the various ways we waste time on sampapalapa. And that's not to mention the many other things we procrastinate with every day. Nowadays we have Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, Snaps, and TikToks, which have become a bottomless pit of useless distractions. Divisive speech is any way of speaking that creates false and harmful divisions or separations between people and things. Again, this kind of speech tends to be judgmental because we make things sound as though they are separate from or independent of another person, place, or thing, when in reality, everything that exists is interconnected and interdependent. Nothing except divinity itself is separate from nature. So we shouldn't perceive bad or contrasting or controversial things as unrelated or separate from the people or things we have more favor in. This idea can apply to famous icons, politicians, political groups, spiritual groups, friends, couples in relationships, and more. Buddhist monks in particular are not allowed to act as matchmakers, or marriage officiants, or messengers for couples in relationships. So likewise, as layperson Buddhists, it's best that we avoid these kinds of services. This is because the responsibility of bringing people together in any kind of relationship is partially in the hands of the matchmaker. So the karmic repercussions of failed relationships will also affect the matchmaker. However, it is okay to act as a relationship or marriage counselor for a pre-existing couple or a group of friends, as long as everyone is communicating together in the same place. Divisive speech is similar to lying, so it too comes with disfiguring karma. In addition to avoiding wrong speech, another aspect of right speech is the skill to be able to always speak in a positive and uplifting way, even when speaking about very severe matters or situations that are hopeless. Because it is almost always possible to shift the tone and perspective of a bad situation. I've witnessed this myself and have been surprised a number of times by how encouraging the words of divinity can be, even when speaking about the most unpleasant things. Even when speaking about the most unpleasant things. And this is all possible without any denial of reality. It just takes creativity and sometimes a little poetry. So to speak with a positive outlook, with encouragement, with praise and empathy, is equally important as refraining from wrong speech. And at the same time, what is being said should be helpful and constructive.